and be very disciplined in your approach.
Simon Mannering, the biggest and proudest moment of his life as he leads his Kiwi side onto the pitch to defend their world title. Like I said, wipe the sleep out of your eyes. If you've stayed up all night, get yourself another drink, whether it's a tea or coffee or the alcoholic beverage. This is going to be a grand final like no other. Enjoy it all.
Come. And the haka may be performed today like it's never been performed before in a rugby league match. There was an impromptu haka performed at the Rugby League International Player of the Year Awards this week when Sonny Bill Williams won the award, that man on screen, honoured by his teammates. He will join them for the haka here in just a short while. It's quite the day for rugby league as now the teams line up. Huge contingent of Australian fans and New Zealand fans here, as well as the Brits who have come along to celebrate rugby league today. Their hearts were broken last week, but they're still keen to be a part of this history-breaking day here. So all to stand, the national anthems of Australia and New Zealand kick off just moments away from the World Cup final. Russell Watson with his rendition of Advance Australia Fair. Now got to defend New Zealand. Pictures, sound, tell the story here. And now the players will move to centre field. The choir leaves. The youngsters make way from this famous pitch. And New Zealand will take their position for the haka on the 40-metre line. Eastern end of the ground. Australians, they won't be advancing like they did at the 2008 World Cup final at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. They will stand their ground on the 40. This is one of the sensational moments in world sport. Let's take the haka with the Kiwis in their huddle. Gets us ready, kick-off not far away, Australia and New Zealand. Wow. Commentators, fans excited on edge, players on edge. They just want it to get underway. Sides close enough to full strength. The Kiwis without Frank Pritchard. Manu Wadube is back from injury for Australia. Billy Slater returns. They lost Luke Lewis along the way at the tournament, but this is about as good as they could field.
Vossi, the respect was there for the haka once they finished. Big Sam Fido and Fafita, they took 2 or 3 steps forward and just accepted the challenge.
How are you feeling, Darryl? I mean, being a New Zealander, how did that make you feel? Because we've got the hair on the back of my neck standing up watching that haka there, but must be a special feeling for you, mate.
Around the ground, the cheer squads, they're in action. Players are taking their position. One thing to be noted is the very short in goals, 4.1 metres. We went down and measured before the game. The in-goal areas just 4.1 metres. I have never come across smaller than this. It's going to take the most precise kick to pull it up short of the dead ball line. That's just one facet of play that we'll have our eyes on today. It will be Australia to kick off, waiting for the cue. So here we go. Cameron Smith or Simon Mannering will be the victorious captain.
His footwork is, well, I've never played against a player who's had as good a footwork as that kid, but Jared Hayne, most importantly, most recently now,
he comes reeling out of the tackle when he goes in for Simon Mannering on this edge. Let's have a look where he puts his head. Well, it looks perfect from there.
Yeah.
Gets it to the right side, but maybe the contact on the hip side of the head into the hip takes him out of play for a little while. Plant, push, Mannering with all the momentum moving forward. And there, well, he's not quite.
What a sensation early. Most unfortunate. 8 minutes in, I can tell you that Fare's been pushed out to right wing for New Zealand, and Alex Glenn has come on at right centre. It's a role that he has played in the past for the Brisbane Broncos in the NRL, but it's still a stopgap measure.
A couple of options for New Zealand there as well. Well, Simon Mannering, of course, can push out into those positions.
Before, isn't he? Yeah.
Played there in the last World Cup, so well accustomed to that side of the football field as well. But a little bit of a worry here for Australia on what they'd do if Jared Hayne, I'm sure he's just slightly concussed more than anything, so you'd imagine him to come to shortly.
They've got
of how they would restructure their back line.
They've got both Corey Parker and Daly Cherry Evans up warming at the moment. Warming up here for the Kangaroos, but looks like they're going to go back to the dugout.
Okay.
And that's a scary moment for Jared Hayne.
Come on.
It wouldn't be the theatre of dreams without a little bit of drama, would it, Vossi?
It does bring the concussion law into question, though, doesn't it?
Back
that he
on,
remains on the field. And Australia will rally in this set. Tamo to take the charge. I'm
now,
so
boys,
disappointed
wait.
for the fans and for Roger Tuivasa-Sheck that his tournament should end in that way, because he may well have been named player of the tournament. He's been that good.
Release! Up now! Hold!
A touch in the final and it's all over. Now Smith on to Cronk, and Cronk extends past halfway. A teammate went into the legs of Cooper Cronk. He was pushed there. It could have been awkward for the Australian halfback as Smith sends them centre field. Gallen switch of play from Thurston for Tamo.
The real play there was Manu Vatuvei come up on suspicion and took Hayne out again.
And now Scott just labours forward for the Kangaroos, 40 metres from the New Zealand line. Last tackle it is. And Thurston is going to test out the men at the back. Locke is called for it. They're charging through. Locke doesn't get a hand on it. Farray gets it in rather fortuitous fashion. It just ended up in his lap. And away come the Kiwis. And Locke has recovered quickly.
And Kevin Locke's going to get plenty more of them today as well. Dropped a couple in the opening minutes against France. Was solid in his next few outings, but he will attack the football.
He's got a good leap on him, Kevin Locke. He's not the tallest man, but he's got an awfully good leap.
Good yards from Luke.
5 inside their own half now.
Go, 3.
Luke again, another one of the stars of the tournament. Here's Williams. And again he's offloaded. A juggle from Luke on to Bromwich. And Bromwich cuts one. A little high from Gallen.
Go, good.
5 inside the Kangaroos half. Johnson's going to launch one. Here we go. Back to Old Trafford. Johnson puts one up nice and high. And up goes Billy Slater. Suddenly puts on the wings. And the Kangaroos have possession. And Inglis is there to take the first curry back.
Conversely, no contest on this one down the football end of the football field for Australia. A clean take by Slater.
Release!
Sheck would have contested that.
I've seen Inglis do that before in this tournament, flying through, catching bombs, setting up tries. I think he did it in the very first game in Cardiff. Australia in possession. Up over halfway now. Cronk, dummy left and right. It was all a little telegraph. Easy for the defence. Bromwich and Foran, 2-0 the Kangaroos. Smith across with Thurston. Opportunity to run. Bird has kept it going for Inglis. And then the kick through from Boyd, and it's onto the toe. And Locke is then hit by Bird.
Swapped by Greg Bird there. There's a couple of times he's put a couple of big hits in early in this game, Greg Bird.
That was well defended on the edge for the Kiwis there. That right edge, obviously without their winger.
And back for Goodwin to take this hit up. Bryson Goodwin has established himself in this New Zealand backline. The hit again from Bird on Kevin Locke. In the meantime, New Zealand are over their own 40-metre line. Haven't had real field position in this match, but they're about to get some. As Bird gets involved in a bit of a push and a shove.
Yeah, well, I think he's
a little angry. Doesn't take too much to Greg angry.
He just came in a little late there, Vossi. He just came in to try, and I think Isaac Lewis stood in the tackle. He wanted to finish him off, but he got him almost in a bit of a grapple there, arm around the neck, and then sort of flung him down WWF style onto the floor. And Richard Silverwood obviously doing that to be a penalty. So great opportunity now for the Kiwis as they get an attacking opportunity inside Australia's half.
Well, this is their chance, and they are the leading offloaders of the tournament, and you've seen it already in this final. And Maria Hargreaves loses the ball under the attention of some brutal Australian defence. And what an opportunity slips through the fingers there for the Kiwis. Now the counter-attack from Australia. Maria Hargreaves was manhandled by the defence. Faiday with a run. 5 inside the New Zealand half. 12 minutes into this decider. And it's plenty tight. And there's been injuries as well. Steve Farray lines up now at right wing for New Zealand, and Glenn at centre. There's pressure on the men out wide as Bird went through. Offloaded Smith. Back it goes. Thurston thought about going left, then takes the run and tackle. Just outside the New Zealand 20. Up they go quickly. Smith and Cronk, look out. Inglis has got the ball, but first contact is good. They get up on him, and Williams finishes off the tackle with Glenn and Johnson on one of the real danger men on the Kangaroo side, and there's 1,000 of them. Cronk kicks across field, batted back by Hayne. Fiday's got some scrambling work to do, and the Kiwis have defended so well there.
Did well. They persevered with just hunting up around the football. corralling Australia back into the middle, and then the kick from Cronk, well, it wasn't one of his best. Hayne goes up, knocks it back.
Move! Come Sam, wait. Go, 1.
You got to think Jared Hayne is still a little fuzzy out there.
2. Move! Greg here.
After that knock-in, attempting the tackle on Simon Mannering as New Zealand close in on halfway. Bromwich gets them to the line right now.
That's 3.
Thrown down by
Cameron.
Scott, Smith and Gallen all there.
And he doesn't miss either. Taylor sucking in the big ones. Changes coming for the Kiwis. Big Ben Mathalino about to get his boarding pass and required. Needs some punch up through the middle.
Have a look at Ash.
Well, 2 penalty goals
Come 3, Sean.
to start this final, as it does appear, as these two teams have launched themselves at each other from the opening set of 6. There is little give out there. And now the man from last week, Sean Johnson. I mean, after he scored the try, he had a kick a little wider than this away from the uprights. They were all celebrating and yahooing, but there was still work to be done. It's a kick he'll remember for his lifetime. And it's certainly, if he has a kick later on in the match, and it could well happen. I mean, we're thinking it's going to be that tight. What a dress rehearsal he's had then.
Live up those moments, those positive moments, and keep them with you for the rest of your life. Go to them when you're deep into a game like this as well.
You were here for the captain's run, Daryl. Much goal-kicking practice for Sean Johnson and Thurston?
Each team only had half an hour on the field, and the goalkeepers were allowed an extra 10, which is really generous of them, wasn't it? And Sean got through his work nicely. Took more than 10 minutes and into some of the captain's run.
So Johnson from 20 out to get us to 2-2, 15 minutes into the contest.
You'd have to say the Australian packs had the better 15 minutes of the opening. New Zealand needs some reinforcements to gather some ground there. They have put 2 balls down, which doesn't help, for sure. And then some of the defence for Australia, just a little bit ill-disciplined, giving away a couple of penalties.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Daryl. Now what's probably gone well for the Kiwis is their dummy half running. Their outside backs, and also Vadavai taking those early carries has gone and going forward pretty well, and it's allowed Isaac Luke to jump out. Again, we saw how dangerous they were off the back of the offload too. Once they get those offloads, especially off the back of SBW, they cause us some problems. Here goes Vadavai.
And, I know the shoulder charge is banned. I don't know what he was trying to make contact with then, if it is banned. He didn't go with much else than the shoulder in the attempted tackle. And New Zealand are now back over the 30-metre line. At 2-2, the defending Cup champs New Zealand against the 9 times winners Australia. Great Britain have won the World Cup on 3 occasions. First held way back in 1954. And let it be said again that it was actually a Scotsman who lifted the trophy. Dave Valentine for Great Britain that year. Last tackle play for New Zealand just outside the 40. And Johnson again, here goes one of his pearlers. Johnson high, Slater in the end wasn't under as much pressure as we thought he was going to be. It was a clean contest for him.
I was looking for Kevin Locke to be chasing right up through the middle of a contest on that, but it was actually Kieran Foran trying to make some headway. Well taxied, well shielded out of it.
That's 3. Up! Oh, boys, wait!
Watch the work again, how high he launches it. Rooney and co don't put him up like this, do they?
3, still 3.
Australia counter-attack. Thurston on the swing. He's been involved in plenty.
Back
to halfway, and now Hayne runs off to come up with a first try. But it is Billy the Kid, Billy Slater, who scores the try. Now 30 years of age. You've got to have your doubts whether he'd be there in 4 years' time, but he savours the moment here. Quarter down, and an 8-2 score. And it's Isaac Luke, who at a vital moment last week put one out on the full on the restart. He doesn't tempt fate there, going close to the dead ball line. Scott.
That's 1.
Cassiano's all over him there.
Wait.
On for Australia.
I was going to say, would Sam Cassiano be the biggest human that's ever played on the surface here at Old Trafford? I know we've had big rugby league matches here, but for weight, Cassiano.
He's a big boy, isn't he?
I'd like to see the honour roll.
Well, he wouldn't look out of place in the WWF, would he?
Yeah, you could park him in the shed from the groundsman like a roller.
And now Fafita, who is no shrinking violet, let me tell you, Andrew Fafita. What a year he has had in rugby league. One of the most improved players. Finds his last match here at Old Trafford, and now Hayne steady set from the Aussies to follow up the first try. Cronk is going to drive it deep. Surely they're not going to pull another one up in goal. Surely not. They have. From 45 metres out, they've managed to do it again. And Locker's got the ball. Well, that's extraordinary. First Smith, then Cronk, and Cronk from over 40 metres out. So go to your bathroom at half-time. Your bathroom's probably 4.1 metres. And put a kick into there from the lounge room. See if you can pull it up.
Stand here, wait, go. 3.
Kiwis in possession, and Cassiano
4.
off to share a card with Sam after the tournament.
Good.
As now the ball comes up with Martellino as far as the 40-metre line.
Move, Sam, go.
And real arm wrestle at this point of the match as Johnson kicks. He may find the line. He will find the line. I don't think his first intention that he got the ball, but then had to rush a kick in.
Now it was a kick just for some yardage to get down the other end of the football field. Good pressure from Australia. There has been all match on this. There was a nothing set for the Kiwis. There was no one running support lines. Cassiano come up with a really good run up through the middle and a quick play of the ball before Martellino come into action, but they were all one out, running on their own. It was just a set they needed to have to get to a kick.
Yeah, you're right there, Darren. Cassiano had his arm free too. I think he was looking to try and promote that ball, but he said there was nobody in support. But again, the box to set off.
This time last Saturday, New Zealand trailed 8-0 against England. They came back in that one to lead 14-8, and we all know the story from there. But they did concede points early. Now Fifita, he's got one of the best bumps in rugby league, Andrew Fifita. And that's been a feature ever since he came through to first grade. Now Gallen with it.
That's 3. Move now!
He definitely won't be on the international stage in 4 years' time at the next World Cup. Thurston has it.
That's 4, release!
And, Thurston 39 metres away from that New Zealand line now. A little bit of a mix-up there at dummy half. Slater was the man who picked it up. Now Bird.
Move now!
It's no thrill stuff here from the Australians. Cronk has kicked and then slipped over. Another perfectly placed kick, and Locke, brave. He knew that he was going to get smashed there.
Well done, Kevin Locke, there, because, he didn't have much room to work in there. He gets up high, takes the catch, and you think he's going to get barreled as Vanavai, strong carry. Kiwis appealing for a head-high shot there. Referee says play on.
Oh, Gallen went high on Vatuve.
Now Luke has got it with a scurry, trademark of Isaac Luke, and he's driven back there.
Move! 4.
They're pulling one of those shopping baskets at Tesco's there. Took him back for a little run. Did well to fight his way back to the 30. Luke Martellino ran through, didn't get possession. Plenty physical this final. We expected nothing less. Back to Johnson under pressure again to get a kick in. Spiralling kick. A high one floats almost away from Slater. Slater wants to bring Boyd in. Dummies to Boyd. And is tackled on the 40-metre line. Kangaroos end of the field. 24 minutes down now. And just the Slater try. 2 goals to Thurston. 1 goal to Johnson at the moment. Thaida's down with the trainer, but I think it's just a little bit of boot trouble there for Sam, for the Kangaroos. There's some more hard-hitting Setterfield.
Release! Square hold!
Parker, the man hit. He was named the loose forward or the lock of the year during the week. International awards, great honour for Corey, who's just got better and better as the career has gone on. He deserves his place in the Australian 17. This is Gallen with a fend out on Johnson, who loses hold of the collar. Last tackle. One of the more spectacular rugby league tries at the World Cup. Ashley Klein, the video referee, to have the say on this one. But Cronk is confident. Confident. He's nabbed his 5th try of the tournament.
That's fine. All outside players are onside. Through into the challenge. Nice and close up on the challenge.
That's all we're looking at, mate. Have a drink of that.
Okay, the Australian player attempts to knock it backwards, but something close on that to confirm if it's a 0 tackle or not. Okay, Australian player hasn't touched it. Just roll that back a bit again. Okay, initially comes off the New Zealand player. He's now touched the Australian hand backwards, back into the New Zealand hand. Okay, so that's a 0 tackle off New Zealand. So play it through now to see what happens. So we have a knock-on by New Zealand at the moment. Okay, just normal speed. We can run this through fairly quick. We need to now confirm the onside, offside. Okay, this will be fine. Okay. He's kicking it just on the line. He's onside. So run it through now. So both Billy Slater and Cooper Cronk were onside. He's on the ground now, that free to be tackled. So he is now on the ground. So that's okay. There's no mid-air tackle. The ball is up. We are checking grounding. The ball is up. The ball is still up. The hand is underneath. The hand is underneath. I think the ball may have touched the ground there. Okay, now I'm going to say the hand is underneath, and he's now got the other hand underneath. So the ball is up in this position. Okay, the ball is still up. Just keep it running through. The ball is still up. We have an Australian player in as a potential driver. And the hand is on the line. Can we get a look from the other side, please?
You're hearing all of this. There's drama here with good from Ashley Klein. This is an absolute sensation. Wait for the reaction here as the decision comes through. The Australians are flabbergasted. But Isaac Luke, there's so many components of that decision.
They call him bully. He bullied his way to that football and held up in defence there. Isaac Luke really had no right to do so. Climbed over top of Cooper Cronk.
I thought Brett Morris may have knocked on as well as Vadove. I thought Cronk may have got it down, actually.
Well, I think some of the ball touched the ground, personally. I mean, definitely, you know, Luke gets back there, gets the hand under there. He was in that position of a helder, but I think some of the ball did touch the whitewash for me.
I've got to believe that to be the case.
But he's ruled it, and that's the way it goes. But I think what we're starting to see here, boys, now is Australia just starting to dominate the field position at the moment. They're getting into the sets, they're always getting these good ball attacking kicks, and they're giving themselves real opportunities to score points. The Kiwis have done it tough, haven't they, in the last few sets? Really struggling to get out their own half. They're kicking from the sidelines when they get a lot of heat on Sean Johnson. So the Kiwis need to find some go forward to start winning the ruck, because the Aussies are certainly winning the quick play the balls at the moment.
What about the tension of all of that? And you're hearing the voice of the video referee, Ashley Klein. Suddenly he became the focal point of everything here and had to make an enormous decision. Australia scored there, 12-point lead, 14-2. As Cassiano offloaded. Where'd that come from? And Lucas with the ball. He'll go down as a hero. And on with Andrew Henderson. You've got to believe that some part of the ball made contact with the grass. Foreigners tackled 30 metres away from the line. Mannering back to Johnson. And Johnson's kick, again, not his best, as it'll come down. And Thurston just lands for him. And Australia have the ball. Look, I didn't have the clock on it either. I mean, was that 3 minutes? Was it 3.5 minutes? We had so much to look at there. It was like an intermission at the theatre. Go out and buy your popcorn. So the Kangaroos have got the ball. And Bird, somehow I got food into it there as Bird almost got one around the corner. Farah is doing a job. If you missed it early, Tuivasa-Sheck replaced 5 minutes in. Farah has gone to right wing. Alex Glenn playing right centre. Ball has come out loose. Parker is with it. Can't get it away. Gallen was the previous player who managed to keep it alive. Now for Fita. And he's thrown it forward, the offload. But New Zealand come up with the ball.
It was a little bit scrappy, wasn't it? Offloads it well. Matalino put a big shot on his man, who comes in, and Hayne goes low. They're having a good battle there.
Hasn't Jared Hayne toughened up? I can tell you it was 3 minutes 15 seconds. The video referee decision of Ashley Klein.
Wait, boys, on the line, wait.
How about that? Is that a World Cup record? I think it is. Let's declare it. Cassiano has got the ball, and the Human Island takes a couple of tourists. The greatest point scorer in Australian Test Rugby League, Jonathan Thurston, after the Cronk try, and the margin is now 12.
They're so well into their work, aren't they? Sunnyville William comes up with a play that should have closed Thurston down and should have taken him ball and all, but he keeps to his feet somehow, Thurston, and as they go wide, come up with a good 60% possession and also territory for Australia. The stats starting to work in their direction as well.
Yeah, good quoting of the stats as Tamo comes back. They are certainly a salient point at this moment. 62% possession, in fact, right at this point in time. As Gallen runs back, 32 minutes down, 14-2 to Australia. It's been hard-earned to get there as Parker is with it.
Up! Square! Let's go! 3.
And the Australians will go back to this pattern.
That's 4. On now,
Gallen, they're keeping the flare up their sleeve until later in the set. Thurston now to centre field. Here's another young man, Josh Papali. Biggest moment of his rugby league life. Broke into Origin this year with Queensland. Here he is with Australia. Now Thurston's kick under pressure, and that one has managed to find its way over the dead ball line or touch in goal. So either way, it's a 20-metre restart.
Just making too many metres for me, the Australians. You know, every time they get to the end of the set, they're kicking in good field position, in good areas of the field. Oh, geez, that looked tight. Get there, Gerald. Geez, what did you think of that one?
It's like a bullseye for Paul Gallen.
I was going to say, they're really doing a job on his head there, aren't they?
On now!
Yeah, well, they're not going any lower than his upper chest, let me say that, as Cassiano now with the ball. It's going to go up a long way to get him around the head. He's offloaded, now Foran, and trying to get on the outside of Hayes. Some promise there, but not the clean break or breaks that New Zealand have done all tournament here today against the defence. And look at it, the metre is now ticking. It's up around the 360 minutes mark since they've conceded a try, the Australians. Williams, another offload. Cassiano on the bounce. And Glenn has the ball for New Zealand. Williams, first half offload. 4 or 5 now. Last play for the Kiwis. Johnson. Tamo did well. Look at that kick from Johnson. Up it goes. So high. Down it comes. It bounces just as high. And Thurston gets it. And it's knocked off his feet by Alex Glenn. Showing little respect for one of the greats. The modern day greats.
You can see New Zealand so wanting to ship the ball as soon as they offload it out to the right that time, where Sonny Bill Williams, Sam Cassiano with an alley-oop over the top of the swarming defence from Australia. That's been spot on.
14-2. And Parker has got it this time for the Kangaroos, and there's the point Andrew Henderson was making. 2 metres being made here. I mean, that was under the attention of 3 defenders. He still made 10, and look at this platform they have to work from as a result. Thurston on tackle. Tough. Yeah, Slater made sure, as I said, look, and I don't retract that. I mean, Slater made sure he was bumped, sure, by Martellino, but he made sure that Richard Silverwood would see every moment of it. But he's entitled to do it if there's any contact made. He's a professional player, and it's all paid off there. But it's a soft one. It's a soft one on the last tackle as well. And now it's cost New Zealand 2 points. So Australia possession, and Matthew Scott has it. 20 past 3 in the afternoon local time. Saturday afternoon it is. Watching the World Cup final. Parker offloads, and there was Slater, and off goes Billy almost right away. They in fact lost it right at the finish. Little chance for New Zealand then.
Just what they needed, Vossi. They need a bit of field position. You know, they've hardly had any of it this first half. And obviously when they have had any decent field position, the kick pressure from Australia has been fantastic. So Johnson hasn't really been able to put his kicks where they wanted to go. There was only one time, I think, where Vatuvei got held up short of the line. It's been the only real opportunity that New Zealand have looked with any real threat to score. But, you know, this is a big opportunity for him now, Daryl.
What about the ball from Corey Parker? He's the national lock forward of the year. Points before half-time. How valuable.
All lined up left-hand side here of the scrum. And Farah with the ball, playing right wing, but number 3 on his back. All the bench players out there for New Zealand, or getting a taste of football in this first half, with Frank Paul Masala there now. New Zealand 35 metres away. They get a penalty now. Some sensing a little bit of square up about all of that. Quick tap for Luke. And Waria Hargreaves big.
Gold.
And that's a troop of kangaroos, which we confirmed after last week. A troop or a mob of kangaroos. There were 5 in the tackle.
I don't know what he was thinking there, Vatuvei. I mean, realistically, he had 5 jerseys in front of him. He was never going to get there. As Daryl pointed out, the quality of skill wasn't the best, so he had to stop and wait for the pass and collect it low. You know, so he wasn't coming onto the ball with any pace or vigour. And like I said, there was too many shirts in the picture. He had to cut inside there. You know, they had to build some pressure there, the Kiwis. And again, you know, they haven't given a good account of themselves.
So the Kangaroos, they will play down the clock to end this first half and be absolutely delighted with their first 40 minutes work. A 14-point lead. Parker gets away from Nuasala, runs into Luke. There's been plenty of drama, plenty of theatre, some controversy in this first half, and New Zealand dealt a very big blow in the opening 5 when they lost Tuivasa-Sheck with his first touch of the ball. Half-time, siren sounds, and the Kangaroos take a big step towards winning the World Cup for the 10th time. They scored 2 tries, they kick 4 goals, and half-time, Australia lead New Zealand by 16 points to 2.